Hey ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Today we're going to go ahead and rebuild the carburetor on this Tecumseh for the Cat Duster. So I'm going to try and educate y'all as much as I possibly can, show you all the way I've been doing it forever, and seems to work pretty good. So I'll try not to make this a bare witch project and be scattered all over the place. Let me take a gander what I got going on. Carburetor's all nice and clean. I got the parts laid out here. And the way I clean them, people have ultrasonic cleaners, you know, what have you. I've been doing it the old school way. I take this nasty stuff right here, the Barrowman. It's got a basket inside. I strip the carburetor completely apart because anything that you put that's rubber in here will just distort it. It eats it up. I pull it out of the vat and I give it a good brake cleaner. I take brake cleaner spray through all the passages and whatnot. So whenever I get it out, everything is totally clean. So, like I said, it's all clean, it's all blown out. I make sure every passage is good and clean. I usually don't pull the little Welch plug that's right here on the side. I usually leave that in there, but I make sure all the passages that I get good spray through everything. Then I blow it out really good with air, and then we'll go from there. This particular one, it's an old one, has a brass float in it, so whenever you pull these floats out, or say you have a problem with your carburetor and it's flooding really bad, just pouring gas out, double check your float. These are notorious, especially the old ones. They have a little, see if I can see where they solder it together. They usually put a little solder spot on it, right there, that little silver thing. But a lot of times you'll have them right in the solder joint where they'll leak, and if you pull this out and you slosh it around, you can hear there's fuel in it, you got a bad float. Which I worked on one just the other day for a gentleman, and I attempted to resolder it. It did pretty good for about 6 months, and right where I soldered it, apparently I didn't solder it good enough because you don't want to put a lot of weight on it anyway. But always check your float and make sure it doesn't, if you slosh it around, that doesn't have anything in it. If it does, you need to replace your float. First, carburetor kits. I'm going to try and make this simple for you. Tecumseh does different things on their carburetor kit. So you can get just like a needle in the seat and a new bowl gasket, or you can get, I'm gonna say it's called like the deluxe kit. The deluxe kit, like this one here, it comes with your new, your main nozzle, your idle nozzle, Welch plugs, needle seat, and all the little rubber grommets in it. So I'll give you the part number on this, if I can read it here for you. The part number is 632347. That's the master kit. This will have everything you need plus some. And this right here is just going to be basically your needle seat, let's see, bowl gasket, and the needle pin is in there. And the part number for this one is a 631021B, as in boy. So I'm probably just going to use, we're going to open this one up, and also I found they had another kit also, which doesn't have all the hardware in it, but it has a little bit more than this kit here. Now why they do it like this, I have no idea. But this kit also comes with the rubber and the brass collar pieces that I'm going to need. So I'm going to open this up, and this part number is a 632760B as in boy. So we're going to open this one up. So let me sit you down here, see if we can tilt you down here, see if we can't show you how to put this carburetor together, show you a few things on it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and open, get this out of the way. You give me a razor blade, slice this bag open, make sure we don't cut into anything. I'd usually make sure it got me a nice clean surface here where I can see what I got laying out. Like I said, this kit will come with more stuff than what you really need, but we're going to use some of it here anyway. Let's see, got a new needle and a pin, and actually this is another one I had. So we'll just clip the needle right into the slot, just like so. That hangs just like that. That'll go right there. We're going to keep that to the side. This was the main nozzle out of it, and when I clean all these, different ways you can clean it. I usually use, this is just a real fine wire. It's really small, like a piano. I guess you call it like a piano wire. If you don't have any, you can always use some speaker wire if you got some laying around. I've seen people use torch tip cleaners. These here, I really don't suggest them because they're gnarled on the side. And if you start cleaning out passages, and unless you're intending to make the jet size bigger, these are really not a good idea to use. So I stick with the old school way and just use wire. And this is your main nozzle. This is what's going to go in the bottom of the bowl, and you'll have adjustment in it. So there's one passage that's right here you want to make sure and clean, and there's another real small one, which let me grab the book. I have the book here, so might be able to show you better in the book what I'm talking about. This is your main nozzle. This is going to be the one that goes in the bottom of the bowl, and it will have the adjustment screw in the bottom. Well, there's a real small little passage in it. See if I can show you right here in the book. Right here where my finger is, right between the thread section, there is a very, very small hole, and that is your idle circuit adjustment transfer passage. So when you're cleaning these out, right in between the threads, I don't know if you can see this, let me see if I can put it in my hand. Right where the threads, in between the thread stop, there's a passage right there. Little small hole. Make sure that is clean. I see a lot of people cleaning these carburetors, and then they're like, yeah, I got it good and clean. And then I'll try and stick a piece of wire through this passage right here, and it is totally blocked up. So let's see if I can find it, if I can see it. Yeah, here it is right here. Right at the top of the bottom threads. Just like so, and I have the wire in it right there. So the wire goes through, and also you can see it on the inside if you look down inside there when you're going to clean this out. Then you can also brake clean it also. So we know that passage is good and clean. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and assemble the main adjustment first. And that's gonna be this, we're gonna have this needle in a spring. So the way this works, the one with the little gnarled edges, if you take this all apart and you forget which way it goes, you can go back and watch this video. Or the ones with the screw with the real fine gnarled edges is going to be your adjustment on the bottom. They put that so you're able to grab it and adjust it. But we're going to install the spring, then we'll come over here to the kit, and you're going to grab a brass washer that goes on, and we'll get a rubber washer just like so. So you want to put the brass first and then your rubber second, because that brass is there so your screw doesn't cut into the rubber. And I'm just going to start this with a good turn or two just to hold it in place. That way whenever I'm installing the carburetor, it's not going to throw everything off. Then we'll adjust that. So we got a good turn or two on that. We'll put that to the side. Now, your idle mixer is the same way. We're going to put the spring on. Find the little brass washer. You can see this. That's your little brass washer. That will go on next. Then we'll come over to the kit. Get a new rubber. I just dropped it. That goes on like so. A lot of times I'll put just a little bit of WD-40 on these, just so it helps it slide into place. That was a little overkill. Take the carburetor. This is going to go on the side. Get it threaded. I'm going to grab a screwdriver for you. And now when you adjusting these, you just want to barely turn it in till it barely seats. That's right there, just barely touched and stop. Then I'll take it and I'll mark this with here, stick my screwdriver out the side. I'm gonna turn this one turn out, is what the book over there says to do. That's your adjustment there. Now your bottom one is gonna be 1.5 out, but we'll put that on in just a minute. Now we're gonna put the seat in it. The seat consists of your needle with the little arm that holds onto your float, and this is your seat. Now the seat is kind of a tricky deal. I don't know if you can really see or not on the camera, but one side is nice and smooth, and if you roll the seat over, it's got like a little gnarled edge around it, or little ribs in it. You want to make sure that these ribs are facing up into the carburetor. So that being said, you want to make sure your needle is on the nice smooth side, because that's how it's going to seat inside the carburetor. If you have it the other way, you're going to have issues with your carburetor flooding, because your needle is not going to rest into the seat properly. So the gnarled edges need to go up. And I do the same thing. I usually put a little bit of Just hit it with a little WD-40 to help it slide into the carburetor. That's right inside this pocket. This little hole is where your seat's gonna go. So when you stick it in here, just make sure and kind of put it into place, that it doesn't get flipped upside down. And I just dropped it. Put a little squirt right there just to help it slide a little bit. Oh, a little much. All right, just ease that right there in place. Now there's a Tecumseh tool which I used to have years ago and managed to misplace it. But I'm gonna take a nice clean Allen wrench and I'm gonna take the flat end of it, and that's what I'm gonna install the seat with. Slide it all the way down and you'll feel it kind of bump into place. There's a little groove for it right down inside there. Make sure this is clean. Don't stick anything dirty down inside the carburetor. All right, so we know that's all the way in there. The seat's in place. We're good to go. Wipe a little extra of this WD-40 off. But you don't want to use grease. Just use like WD-40 works fine. That way it helps slide into place. Now I'm going to go ahead and take, so I don't have to fight around the float or anything, I'll go ahead and put my bowl gasket on here. Roll it around, get it in place. Just like so. Now, we'll take the float. And this is kind of a tricky part. I usually take the float and hook the pin on it, just like so. Then I'll hold it with my index finger, if you can see how this works. And then we're just gonna guide it right down into place. And I'll get my new pin out of the kit, the float pin. Just like so. Now I didn't mess with any of the adjustments. This is the original one, but if you look in the service manual, it'll tell you your height on how high you want to set your float adjustment as far as where it needs to be. But I didn't mess with anything. I didn't bend the tab, so we should be in good shape. Let me grab the bowl right quick. All right, my bowl's all good and clean. I also vatted it at the same time. Now, when you're installing this, there's a notch. You see the flat side of this bowl. There's a reason why there's a flat side and a bigger side on the bowl. Let's see if we can angle this just like so. This will be your flat side, and this will be your raised side. This flat side, when you put it on the carburetor, needs to go over where your float pin is located. So if I'm holding my carburetor just like so, here's my float pin. I need to line this top side up into relation to where my float pin is. So it needs to go on, there's my float pin, flat side. Put it right over the top of that, just like so. Hold it in place. Now in the kit, you will come with a new main jet gasket. Put that there. And we're going to install this. Like I said, I only got a turn or two on this screw. And this is a 7/16 on your on the brass part right here. So I'll go ahead and tighten this up later. But this is going to be the same thing. When you tighten this up to set your adjustment, your main needs to be set at 1.5 out. So I'm just going to run this all the way in lightly till I feel it bump. Right there. It just barely touched surface. So I'm going to turn this out. There's a 1/2, 1, and a 1/2. And that's pretty much it. That's rebuilding a carburetor. So, in the book it says you want to get your engine running up to operating temperature, then you can go back and adjust your main, then you got your idle circuit adjustment here on the side. So that's pretty much it, folks. I do have a new nozzle I'm going to stick on the side, my inlet nozzle. Got a little paint left on there. But that's pretty much it. There are some felt washers that are right underneath the top of here that you can replace, that come in some of the kits. And also some of your kits will have screws in it. The updated ones will have Torx bits, where the old ones will be a flathead. So if you do have to replace your throttle shaft inside here, the kit will come with new screws as well. This one's in really good shape. Doesn't really have a lot of run time on it. The shaft still feels really good and tight in it, and the throttle shaft on the back feels really good. There's no play in it, so we're not going to mess with those. So we just cleaned it real good, put a kit in it, and that's about it. So that's how you get your kit installed in your Tecumseh carburetor. And this is for an HS35. The 4 horse, 5 horse, pretty much all the same model will take this style carburetor. Hope that helps some folks. Okay, since I got my carburetor all done and rebuilt, got my little fuel inlet on, I figured I'd go ahead and, since I had a little time, go ahead and put the intake together, get the carburetor on it, get the exhaust on it. That way that'll be that much closer to having it ready while everything else is going on. But I got all new gaskets, so we're going to mount the intake to it, because when these are bolted on there, two of the bolts are kind of tricky to get to get them off. So I'll just usually rip everything off. This way I replace all new gaskets at the same time. So we're going to take the intake manifold, new gasket, put my bolts in, one more bolt back here. Go ahead and start the nut. And I didn't paint the carburetor. I just like leaving the carburetor the natural silver look. It'll be fine. Get this one started on here if I can get my fingers to work. There we go. Fingers ain't working too good today. It's cold outside. There we go. Kind of running down, get them good and snug, and then I'll go ahead and mount it, and then I can get it in place with the throttle linkage on it, and then we'll go back and tighten the two nuts and bolts up. Do have a new gasket that's going right here. Before we put the gasket on, we're going to hook the throttle linkage up. We'll get this choke over here out of the way. Then we're going to take your elbow side is going to hook into this hole here, which would be the center hole. If I can get it to jive, there we go. Let's go ahead and hook it on here first. Let's see, did it go that way? It hooked in here backwards. So, yep. All right, now we'll just ease this right into the middle hole, just like so. All right, and I do have this governor spring. We'll put the governor spring on last. Get my new gasket. Find where I put that gasket. Okay, I was gonna film putting a few things back on since I have some time. I already got the intake on. Then I figured, oh hey, I'll probably ought to turn the camera on. So what I did is I got the carburetor nuts and bolts started in it. I do have a new gasket in there. So now we're gonna go ahead and hook the throttle linkage up, get the carburetor mounted, and then we come out of the middle hole. So we'll take the linkage from the underside, if I can see it. There we go. Slide it through, and it's got a little elbow, so it'll turn just like so. Then we come to the first hole in the governor arm. You got two different holes. This one was previously in the first hole, so that's where we're going to put it back. Go just like so. Now we're going to reach over here and grab us a new gasket. Hold that up. And let's see, we got a long bolt and a short bolt. Long bolt's going to go down here in the bottom hole. Run it through the gasket, try and help hold the gasket in place. Shorter bolt's going to go on the top. Run them through the gasket a little bit. Now we'll get a Phillips screwdriver. Get this choke arm out of the way. It's going to be right in the way in it. There we go. Get it started. Get the top one here started. Then I just evenly snug them down. That way I make sure I don't get the gasket caddy wampused or crushed or whatnot, or crooked. There we go. Make sure we get them tight. Make sure that gasket gets good and sealed. There we go. Let's do this one more time. And we'll double check our throttle linkage. Everything seems good. We'll put the bottom spring on here in just a minute. Now I'm going to go back and tighten these 2 carburetor bolts up since we got everything lined up. Make sure we get these tight, because you don't want no air leak. There we go. All right, that's good. All right, find what I did with the exhaust manifold gasket. I did find another that was missing a bolt, so we did find that. This is the right gasket, I do believe. Looks like the right one. Let me double check over here and make sure. Yep, that does look like the right gasket that I had. Or is it this one? No, this is the right gasket. We're gonna put it's got 2 different ones. This is one I have on another kit, but we're gonna go with this one here. It's a thinner one. All right, same thing. I got gasket in line. Go ahead and get a bolt in here, kind of help hold it in place. Go ahead and get my bottom one started. Run it through the gasket. That way that gasket will kind of hold it in place when we go to get them started, so we don't cross thread nothing. There we go. Get a couple threads on that one. Come down here to the bottom one. Get in there, rascal. There she is. All right. Same thing, I just evenly run them down so everything bolts up good and flush. Got that one tight. There we go. Now we're gonna roll it back. See if I can, we'll sit it on over here so we don't scratch a newfangled paint job up. Now this one's gonna go in the 3rd hole down, bottom hole here. So let me give me a small pair of needle nose so we can get this one started over here. Ah, jumped out of the way. There we go. I'm gonna roll that one time so we make sure it hooks. Then we'll bring this over here, hook this in the 3rd hole down. That's we've got our, everything jobs good, everything moves free. Oh yeah, we're in business. Now there's a gasket that goes right here that holds your backing plate on for your breather. And we'll get a smaller Phillips screwdriver. And we're gonna do the same thing. Go ahead and get the screw started in it. Kind of hold my gasket into place. Man, now it's starting to look like a motor again. All right. Just like so. Get that one started. Snug them down evenly. Make sure they're good and tight. So we can get no dirt ingestion in there through the gasket. All right. Cool. All right, well, I do have a new air filter coming. I got the cleaner, the outer cover. I got it painted also. Did get a new plug. So we're gonna just leave all this stuff taped up. So we're gonna call that for a good stopping part for today. And whenever I get some other stuff lined out, we could continue on. We'll call that good.